Welcome to the Inc. Productivity Tip of the Day. Today's tip. A new study of 690 CEOs says the best leaders always insist on one simple thing. An expert opinion by Bill Murphy, Jr., founder of Understandably. Long ago, a leadership coach gave me some pithy but untestable advice. It involved 3 things, she said, brand new leaders should do quickly to take charge. Hire someone, fire someone, move someone's office. I question whether it works, although it does conform to my favorite communication rule, the rule of 3. However, new research from a trio of business school professors published in the Journal of Management suggests that there's a much simpler thing that new leaders can do to set the tone and significantly improve their chances of success. The trick? Insist on starting either in January or at the beginning of the fiscal year. As researchers Diego Villalpando, Robert Campbell, and Liliana Perez Nordvet summarized in Harvard Business Review earlier this summer. When CEOs begin their tenures within 10 days of the calendar or their firm's fiscal year, which is around 25% of successions in our sample, their firms experienced on average a 0.4% higher return on assets than firms whose CEOs started at any other point in the year. This effect might seem small, but it equates to a nearly 31% difference in ROA. Compared to our sample's average ROA, and begins to fade after the first 10 days. We also found that this synchronization resulted in heightened net income for these firms, on average, over the same post-succession period. It's even more important, the research suggested, for CEOs who come from outside the firm, or are women, or else fairly young, under age 46. Or members of racial or ethnic minority groups. Truly, this strikes me as the kind of study that makes sense, but that you'd really want to dig down and question your assumptions. I mean, January versus February, does it really matter that much? Villalpando, Campbell, and Perez Nordvet said they interviewed stakeholders surrounding many of the 690 CEO transitions they examined for this study, and came up with 3 non-exclusive theories. Alignment of goals and objectives. As they put it, the beginning of the year is when new goals are set, and a CEO who begins in the new year can set those goals according to their own vision, as opposed to having considered the goals of the departing or departed leader. Minimization of disruption. Bottom line, the beginning of a calendar year or fiscal year is likely to be perceived as a natural breakpoint, which allows enough time for organizational members to regain focus and attention on tasks and projects before results are expected. Decrease in time pressure. While there's always pressure for a new leader or CEO to perform, this pressure is especially strong closer to the end of a calendar or fiscal year. And so taking over at the start of the year can alleviate time-induced pressure, enhancing decision-making and ultimately operational performance. As for young leaders, women or members of racial or ethnic minority groups, Villalpando, Campbell, and Perez Nordvet theorized that this population of CEOs, who are a minority overall, are also more likely to enact major strategic change, according to previous research. The start of a calendar or fiscal year is simply a time when people are more open to change and less averse to having their routines or presumptions upended, the idea goes, and thus more likely to be receptive and quicker to buy into a leader's vision. At the least, as Jeff Bezos might have put it, they might be more willing to disagree and commit. Of course, timing isn't always negotiable. An outgoing CEO might have to be replaced in a hurry, and an incoming leader might not want to put off his or her start date, either because they're simply eager to get going or because they don't want to signal any reluctance. But all other things being equal, if you have a choice, either just after New Year's Day or just after the start of the fiscal year, seems like a smart choice. That's it from Inc. Head to Inc.com to find more leadership advice from today's top business coaches and thought leaders. And be sure to come back tomorrow for another tip from Inc.